Thank you, Father Jaspers, Father Becker, Reverend Fathers, any honored guests, and my dear brothers. My dad tells a story when he and my mom experienced difficulty having kids. He one day got on his knees and prayed to God, saying, "Lord, if you would bless me and my wife with a child, I will do all that I can to raise them as the best Catholic they can be." And God, in fact, did give him a child. And to my dad's surprise, God planned for him to be the father of triplets. And my dad, along with my mom, stayed true to that promise. They raised me and my siblings and made sure that we had a firm foundation in our Catholic faith and made sure we knew that the Catholic Church was home. And I couldn't be more grateful. Despite all of this, priesthood never appeared on my radar. Growing up, I loved sports and I loved math. So logically, the only dream job for middle school Connor was to be a statistician for the Chicago Cubs. And I pursued that job, not that there was much pursuement, considering I was still in pre-algebra. Until one summer night, after my freshman year of high school. I was lying in bed, thinking about how great it would be to work for the Cubs, and all the joys that would come along with having a wife and kids. But all of a sudden, a thought popped into my head that said, "You could be a priest." And my first reaction was one of puzzlement. It's weird, I've never had that thought before. And in that moment, I realized that that thought didn't originate from me. And God blessed me with the understanding to know that it came from Him. My reaction to that was one similar to Michael Scott when he learns that Toby is coming back to the office. Total rejection. I wanted nothing to do with it. I didn't think I was good enough to be a priest. I didn't think I was holy enough. I didn't want to be alone. And I didn't want to sacrifice the possibility of having a wife and kids. So distraught by the whole experience, I just cried myself to sleep. And in the ensuing days, I went and approached my friends and asked them, "Hey, here's a funny question. Could you see me being a priest?" And to my disappointment, they almost all said, "Oh yeah, definitely. You'd be a great priest." So then I went to my parents and asked them the same question, and they told me, "Connor, we'll support you with whatever you think the Lord's will is for you." So it became pretty clear to me that I needed to take this powerful experience to prayer. And starting my sophomore year of high school, I went to adoration once a week with my rosary, and I brought this prayer to Mary. "Mary, I'm not in a place to accept what the Lord is calling me to, but I need you to give me the desire to do so." And God answered this prayer in two ways. First, I had an amazing chaplain at my high school named Father Doyle, who I would go into his office every morning, and whether it was to engage in some intellectual discussion or simply to relate how my week was going, every conversation was filled with joy. And over time, I realized and noticed and began to accept that if the Lord was calling me to be a priest, He was going to make me happy, because that's all I encountered with Father Doyle, was just his joy and his faithful witness. At the same time, I experienced tremendous healing through the sacrament of reconciliation, and as a result, this desire to be a conduit of God's grace through the sacraments by being a priest to others boiled up inside of me. And so with this desire, I threw myself into a bunch of spiritual readings and devoted myself to more prayer. And by the end of sophomore year, the thought of being a priest excited me. And it was at that point where I was convicted that this is where the Lord was calling me to be. And so when senior year rolled around, I applied to be a seminarian for the Diocese of Rockford, was accepted, and I can confidently say that my first 3 years here at SJV have been the greatest years of my life, and I can't wait for the next 15. Praise be Jesus Christ.
Amen.